Today we're going to be looking at some of the artwork of Ho Che Anderson. I originally bought these for the Darshan Studios Comic Art Museum and Storytelling Theater, which was housed in the front room of my home in Des Moines, Iowa in the early 2000s, which had previously been a hair salon. I created a showcase for local artists and my own work, but I also began purchasing other comic art. And one of the big first purchases I made was 6 pages of Ho Che Anderson's King, the comics biography of Martin Luther King, which is probably what he's most well known for. Nowadays, he's working on a comic called Godhead and making a movie, I believe. But I think he broke into the business working for Eros Comics, the erotic comic imprint from Fantagraphics. I became familiar with him from the book Young Hoods in Love, which I really do love that book. But these are pages from the King biography, actually volume 2. And this is page 2, which you can read up at the top, was from Labor Day 1995. And it shows King recuperating in the hospital. And what I find interesting is the notes that are on it. And like at the top there in that first panel, he's talking about replacing that image. There's a little pencil note there. And another thing that's very obvious and unique is that he was printing out these the lettering on this comic and gluing it directly to the board, which is something I did in my early comics as well. I think I got the idea from Mad Magazine. I'm not sure where this comes from, and you can see that there's lines right through lettering, so I don't know exactly how this worked in the original edition. I'm sure later on there was some digital manipulation, but I like the fact that these pages have the letters right on the page. Those stark black silhouettes and highlight on King's face in the hospital is really dramatic, I think. I really love this page. And then for the next page, this is page 20 from the same volume. And that first one was drawn in 95, Labor Day 1995, it was noted. And this one is January 15th, 2001. So I don't know if there was a break in production on the book or whether it just he worked on it while doing other projects and until it was complete or what. But that's 6 years in between these two pages. And I really like how the tie, Martin Luther King's tie, goes through the entire page and on top of the second panel and underneath the third. And the faces of the angry mob on the in the first panel, I think, are really great too. It's like very simple, but it captures the emotion very well. And then the dry brush on this section here, where the I believe it's a canister of tear gas that's coming in. I'm not quite sure. It's been a while since I read the book, and it's currently in my storage unit in an unopened moving box here in Alaska. But again, I like how Here he has some Zipatone right on the page, which nowadays in the scanning would be create nothing but weird effects. Now that would be done probably digitally, but this is old school, again with the letters pasted right onto the page, and Zipatone for the jackets, if you notice in all three panels. Another great page, I believe, from King Volume 2, 20 of 72. So that second volume would have been 72 pages long, I guess. And then I have a third page here. And this one is very involved and intricate. Oh, and I forgot, on this second page, the interesting thing about that is on the back of it, he drew another page. Or he drew that page on the back of this page, I should say, because this is from Wise Son, which Wise Son, the White Wolf miniseries, was published by Milestone Comics. So this is an entirely different story, but he reused the same paper to draw this page. I wouldn't even begin to do that. It's thick paper, so I guess he didn't have to worry about it being seen through. Well, you can see through it pretty good. But I'd be afraid to draw on the back of a page, but I think it used to be fairly common. Again, here's... this one was drawn before the last one. This is from March 1999, and it's page 27. And he's got some notes here where he's saying, in the collection, obscure face more, focus on mouth or headphones, no eyes. And in the top, he's referencing an RCA logo from an advertising book that he needs for right here on the page. And it looks like he moved the clock a bit as well. So I love in comics when they're shown handwriting and writing. That's really great lettering there. And I love the outline of the pen and how it becomes part of his hand. On the back of this one, we have some sketches. Big block of black, but art. And then there's some pencil sketches there, one in pen. Baby, do you love me? And then here he's got a note about best part of working for Milestone. I'd have to say the best part about working for Milestone was the free paper. And then he writes revision. The best part was actually the money. And then 3 years old, he circles it and adds another notation. The money ran out ages ago, but the paper's still here, and dates it 99. So this is like a 3-part note about working with Milestone, and I guess this was paper that was provided for him when he was drawing Wise Son. I actually used this sketch here to advertise the show, and I called the show with his artwork, But Amit Art. So I got a double dose of Ho-Che from that one. Now I've got 3 other pages from the book but they're very different. They're from the same issue, but these are drawn in collaboration with Wilfred Santiago, with whom Hoche also co-produced the series Pop Life later on. And Wilfred Santiago is a cartoonist in his own right and has recently done a biography of Roberto Clemente, so you might recognize the name from that. But I guess Hoche was penciling and got an ink assist from Wilfred Santiago, or vice versa, because the signature is WSHCA. So I know that Hoche talked about how he went back in with a brush and kind of made it look more like his stuff. So I don't know who did what, but that's part of the appeal. It's a true collaboration. And I like how the clock face is left pencil. I think they ended up doing a digital thing there where they put an actual photograph. I'm not sure. I don't really remember for sure. But this is page 9 from issue 2, and it's from November in 2001. Another thing I find interesting about this issue is that he writes in pencil what he's listening to. Jane Bunnett CD, Spirits of... I can't read that last word, but this is obviously what was playing while he was drawing this. This is another page by Hoche and Wilfred Santiago. And again, this one, as you notice, these 3 pages that I'm showing now do not have the lettering. Obviously, by this point, lettering was being done digitally entirely, and so you don't get the lettering on the page, which is fairly common in comic pages nowadays. But I miss having the lettering because you really don't know what they're saying or anything. And but I can understand the appeal of being able to add the balloons later, but it just seems like something's missing to me. Again, these are really great drawings. You get a lot of emotion in that crowd, in the cross section, and this here is a great drawing. And this will be the final page. And this, obviously, they're on a bus and get attacked by a angry mob. I'm not sure who is depicted here. I don't really see the king figure, so I wish I had the book handy so I could figure out what's what and what is actually being said. Again, all 3 of these pages all seem to have come from November in 2001. And he has notes at the top where he's to Wilfred, see script for dialogue. And he also says, hope you can figure out the page. So I'm guessing it was a fairly rough sketch that he presented for Wilfred. And again, up there in the corner is Slow Tango, Jane Seabury. So I'm assuming that's what was on the turntable when this was playing, or CD player, I guess would probably be the case. And very interesting drawing once again. I just love Hoche Anderson's artwork. You can see that he's definitely influenced by Howard Chaykin, but I see a lot of other stuff in there too. This Breaking Glass here, that really captures the moment of panic. And I love how the flying glass comes out of that panel there. I also love the ink spatter. I don't know if he's using a toothbrush or what at that point, but ink spatter is always looks good once printed. But that was, and these pages have nothing on the back neither, so, but you do see that it's Milestone standard format up there in blue. So these were all drawn on old Milestone paper that was printed for the Milestone series, which was a series of African American comics, an imprint under DC. Dwayne McDuffie was pretty much in charge of it, and Icon, Haywire, a couple other series as well. Anyway, I thought this would be interesting to get down on video before I put these pages back in storage. Thank you kindly.